Good evening, teacher Adrian. I am working on the video that you asked us. And this video is more about how this course influenced our teaching or in general. So I would like to share my screen and talk about it. So just give me a second so I can share my presentation. Okay, so this subject is about teaching pronunciation. And I personally haven't taught pronunciation in a very long time. I did study about this at the university many years ago. So it was not new, but at the same time, it was a good way for me to remember many things that I had forgotten that I hadn't, talked about or discussed in a teaching environment in a long time. Okay, so I remember that the first thing we talked about was the special nature of English pronunciation. And I really didn't learn a lot in this section, but it's a very good reminder and a good chance to reflect on, for example, accents and remember how English became a language and became what it is today and what we use today. And even though when we talk about accent and we say that there are no differences, the truth is that a lot of people still ask the question, of whether American English is better than British English. And the truth is that English is just English, and it's an excellent tool to communicate globally. I would say it's a lingua franca. So it's important to know the origin and to learn important aspects of it, but also be aware of the fact that it doesn't matter how somebody pronounces the language as long as communication can take place. There was also a chapter about the articulators. This one is always, in my opinion, the most difficult one because we need to understand how vocal cords work, and understand what the glottis is and how it opens and closes and how we use all the muscles and the larynx and the tongue and the teeth and the palate, the soft palate and the alveolar bridge or the tooth bridge. So that I think is complicated, but I'm very happy that you didn't make it difficult and you didn't ask us to go in depth, because the truth is that it's important for us to learn and know about this, but if we're not going to teach it, then it will be too much, I think. It's important to understand and learn how sounds are produced and how respiration is a very vital part of producing sounds in any language. I think in this case, I related all of them to English because this is the master's degree in English teaching, and that's what I normally do. So it was a good review. I think it was very important, and I like the way you handled it. And then we got a little bit more specific and we looked at the vowels and the consonants. And honestly, I did not remember the types of vowels and, the short, long, diphthongs and everything. But it's very important to understand that this vowel system can generate individual speech. And knowing how to put your lips or how to open your mouth and teach that to students can be a very important tool for them to learn how to pronounce certain sounds that do not exist in this case in Spanish. So I see a value in learning this so that we can teach it. And then the consonants, I think the consonants are very interesting too. I admire all the scholars that have decided to study and analyze the system, and they have been able to categorize consonants in how they are pronounce it depending on the place and whether there's voice or no voice, if there are stops, you know, and all these things. And the plosives, the fricatives, the affricates. I know that there are a lot of names, but if we do not understand how to produce them, there's no point. So it helps for, I mean, to teach our students. I personally believe that there's a lot of use and importance on doing this, especially because in Spanish, for example, when we pronounce the P in pencil, some students just say pencil and it's like very soft, it's different. Like, so it is important to teach them how to do that. And I remember that I used to give my students a sheet of paper and ask them to put it in front of them and say pen, put, pencil, and words that start with P. And if the sheet moved, then they were pronouncing correctly. If it wasn't moving, they weren't pronouncing it correctly. So it's a fun way to teach this. And I definitely believe that, yes, this is complicated. This is like not so easy for students to understand, but there's value in teaching this, and this practice can help students improve their pronunciation. And let's, I mean, be honest, many of the students do care about pronunciation, even though as teachers, we think that as long as they can communicate, it's okay. For them, it's important. And at the end, in chapter 8, we talked about, well, we did not talk about it a lot, but we read about pitch and tone and how they are similar and different. I personally also like the challenge of how you're asking us to present the information. Because exercises like this, like the Venn diagram, like an infographic, like a reflection, you know, there are different ways that you force us to shred information, put it together, and demonstrate that we have understood, that we know, and that we have learned. So I believe this is an important course. It has value, definitely, as part of the master's degree. And I find it interesting. I like the way you presented it. Now, if you ask me if I like the subject or any specific activities, at the beginning, I think I told you that especially the tech part was difficult for me because I'm old school, because I'm old also. But I have changed my mind because now I feel more comfortable using Geniali or Canva, for example. And I think that it's the way to go. As I said earlier today, using PowerPoint now seems like I don't like it. It's old and it's always the same. People always use the same templates. And with Canva, you can have your own design in every single way. The letters, the font, or the colors, the sizes, and everything. It's one way of also giving personality, your personality, to what you're doing. So I really liked it. Okay, and well, I'm studying this master's degree because I don't need the document. I don't need the paper. I basically want to do it as a way to continue learning, to to meet new people, also to meet other teachers that are studying like me. So in a way, my idea or my hope was that I will be able to network. Honestly, I haven't been able to, as you know, the only person that joins the sessions is Diego. And I think we have created this professional bond, which is important. But unfortunately, I understand it's also an online course. And online means, you know, every single participant will join whenever they can, or will check the recording or do assignments whenever they can. So I understand that, but it's nice to at least have one person in my group that I know I can talk to, I can learn from, because he's working with kids and I'm working with adults. And I do believe that most of the teachers are really well prepared and willing to share. They're very open-minded and always ready to help and answer questions. In your case, I like the fact that it's very funny because you earlier talked about your pitch and you were saying that it could get boring. I I disagree, or maybe because my pitch is the same, but I found it interesting, and I like the way you planned the assignments. You gave the class, the fact that at the first minutes you talked about what we were going to do, and then more or less some tips and information about the class. So thank you very much. I just want to say thank you, and I hope I get you as a teacher again in the future. Bye-bye.